Scroll for 10 minutes and you'll see it everywhere. The soft, beige aesthetic. I'm romanticizing my ordinary life. A woman making tea in slow motion at 6 a.m. Captioned, "Choosing peace." A man posting, "I decided to be unremarkable," and it gets 2 million views. Here's the uncomfortable question nobody in the anti-hustle space wants to ask. If resting has become content, is it still rest? I'm not here to tell you to grind less. Everyone's already telling you that. I'm here to tell you something almost nobody is saying out loud. The slow living movement didn't kill hustle culture. It just gave hustle culture a new costume. And if you don't see the costume, you'll do the exact same thing you did before, except now you'll call it healing. For decades, the status symbol was the hustle, the 5 a.m. alarm, the side hustle, the "I'll sleep when I'm dead." You proved your worth by how much you produced, and you proved it publicly. The LinkedIn post, the gym check-in, the visible grind. Then, somewhere around the last few years, exhaustion caught up with an entire generation, and the culture flipped. Suddenly, the new status symbol became the opposite. The nap, the no phone Sunday, the slow morning, the decision to be unbothered. But look closely at the mechanism. It's identical. In both cases, the value of the thing you're doing still depends on someone else seeing it. The hustle needed an audience to be worth anything. And now, the rest needs an audience too. We didn't leave the stage. We just changed costumes and kept performing on it. That's the trap almost nobody names. You can perform laziness exactly as hard as you perform ambition. Different content, same engine, the need to be witnessed. You might be thinking, okay, so some influencers post aesthetic rest content. Who cares? Here's why it actually matters for you personally. Even if you never post anything, once a culture turns rest into an aesthetic, it teaches your brain, quietly, without you agreeing to it, that rest only counts if it's legible, if it can be described, remembered, or shown. So you start unconsciously narrating your own downtime. You lie on the couch and some part of you is already drafting the caption. Just needed a slow day. You take a walk with no phone and you're already rehearsing how you'll tell your friend about your digital detox. Notice what happened. The rest didn't disappear, but it got a witness installed inside your own head, a tiny internal audience watching you rest, ready to turn it into a story. And the moment there's an audience, even an imaginary one, the activity bends slightly to please that audience. That's not rest anymore. That's a performance with a single-person crowd. You. This is why so many people say the exact same confusing thing. I did nothing all weekend and I'm still tired. You didn't do nothing. You did something exhausting. You performed doing nothing for an audience of one. And performing is never free. It costs the same attention whether the show is, "I'm crushing it," or "I'm at peace." So if the old line was hustle versus rest, and that line turned out to be fake, what's the real line? Here it is, and I think this is the one distinction worth remembering from this entire video. The real dividing line is not between busy and slow, it's between witnessed and unwitnessed. A witnessed life is anything you do with even a sliver of awareness that it could be seen, told, remembered, or turned into an identity. I'm a hustler. I'm a slow-living person. I'm the type who reads instead of scrolls. Both hustle and rest can live entirely on the witnessed side. An unwitnessed life is the part of you that exists with zero audience, including the audience inside your own head. No caption forming, no future retelling, no identity being built, just the thing itself happening and then being over, with nothing kept. Almost nobody talks about this because it's genuinely hard to sell. You can't build a content strategy around do something and then let it vanish completely. There's no thumbnail for that. But it might be the single most starved resource in a generation raised on documentation. The experience that leaves no trace, not even in your own memory, as a moment. Let me make this concrete, because it's easy to nod along and still not know what to do differently tomorrow. An unwitnessed act has 3 qualities. It produces no evidence, no photo, no post, no journal entry written for an audience, even a future version of yourself. It seeks no comparison. You're not measuring it against anyone else's version of rest or productivity. And it requires no narration. You don't need a sentence to explain what it was or why it mattered. For example, cooking a meal you don't photograph for nobody and eating it standing at the counter. Sitting somewhere for 20 minutes with no intention of remembering the 20 minutes. Doing a kind thing for someone and actively choosing never to mention you did it. Not even to feel quietly virtuous about it later, because that's still an audience, just a delayed one. Notice these aren't necessarily restful in the soft living aesthetic sense. Some of them are effortful, that's the point. The old question was, is this hustle or is this rest? The real question is, does this need to be seen by anyone, including future me, to feel worth doing? If the honest answer is no, that's the unwitnessed life. That's the actual rare thing. Here's the part that separates this from another feel-good, just be present video. This is genuinely uncomfortable to practice, and you should expect resistance. The moment you try to do something with zero audience, you'll notice an itch, a pull to tell someone, to post it, to at least mentally file it as evidence of the kind of person you are. That itch isn't a character flaw. It's what an entire attention economy spent a decade training into you. Every platform you use is engineered around one instruction. Turn your life into something legible, shareable, trackable. Going quiet against that isn't relaxing, it's resistance. It will feel a little like withdrawal because it is. This is why just be unremarkable as a slogan doesn't work. It asks you to adopt a new identity, and identities by definition need witnesses to hold them up. What actually works is smaller and stranger. Pick one specific act each day that you do and then deliberately let go of. No mental replay, no story, no proof. Not because it makes you a better person, because it's practice at existing without an audience, which is a muscle almost nobody under 50 has ever had to build, and it's atrophying fast in everyone else. Now, I know how uncomfortable this feels in practice. You'll try this, and halfway through, you'll feel that itch. The urge to record it, to post it, to at least tell one person. Here's the honest truth. Keep the itch. Don't punish yourself for having it. That just turns unwitnessed living into one more thing you can fail at, which is exactly the trap this video is trying to get you out of. You're not aiming for a perfect, silent, witness-free existence. You're just aiming to notice the itch instead of obeying it automatically. That noticing on its own is the entire practice. Everything after that is a bonus. Here's the twist that I think makes this whole idea worth 12 minutes of your time instead of a 2-line quote graphic. The people who look the most unbothered, the most at peace, the most quietly unremarkable, the ones we all secretly envy. They're not unbothered because they mastered a rest routine. They're unbothered because a large percentage of their life is happening completely off the record, in a place no algorithm, no friend, no future retelling can reach. They're not performing calm. They genuinely have less of themselves on stage at any given moment. So there's less to defend, less to maintain, less to prove. You can't get there by trying to look unremarkable. Looking unremarkable is still looking. The actual shift is quieter than that and less filmable. It's building a private room inside your life that nobody, including the version of you who likes to narrate your own story, is allowed into. So, should you be exceptional, or should you be perfectly, happily average? Wrong question. Both of those are still costumes for the same stage. The real question is smaller and much harder to answer honestly. How much of your life right now has no witness at all? Not, how do I look while resting? Not, how do I look while hustling? How much of you exists nowhere except in the moment it happened? Start there, not with a bigger identity. With a smaller audience, down to 0, even for a few minutes a day. That's the actual radical act. Not being unremarkable, being unwatched. If this video gave you a way of seeing your own life you hadn't considered before, that's exactly the kind of value this channel is built on. Hit like and subscribe so the next one finds you. See you in the next video.